Hi, I'm going to show you some basic things to help you get the first level of your prototype to game level completed. Some common questions. Instead of doing it whole class, I think I was going to do it in a video so that you can kind of take this at your own pace. So I want to cover really quickly. I have a list right here. How to put your canvas object in, so a win panel and a lose panel. That lose panel is going to make it so that we can restart the level, and then quickly how to add some fonts and some music. Actually, yeah, let's just start with the music really quick. I like to add in an empty object, and I like to call it either music manager, something along that lines, and add a component, audio source. And this audio source is going to play the music for our scene. Now, the easiest way to go get music is from a website that I posted in your classroom called Play on Loop. I also have packages in the Unity Asset Store, but those are big. You're just going to go find a song. What's good about Play on Loop is it has royalty-free music that's easy for us to use, and they have it in different genres. So, like, there's a video game one here, and you can kind of scroll through, find something that works for you. I like the 16-bit style songs. I'm not going to listen through them right now. I'm just going to pick one for the sake of going through this quickly and get the free short version. And you'll download that track. It'll give you a zip folder that you can then drag to your desktop. Double click on that zip folder and you should get a WAV that you can drag into your projects area. To see what it sounds like, you can click on it. Over here in the inspector, there's this little panel that has the name of the track. If yours is down here, you can drag it up, and it'll give you a play panel to play with here. But on my music manager, I'm just going to drag that into the slot on the audio source that says none audio clip. We do want play on awake, and we do want it to loop. Make sure my volume is down so it's not too loud. I'm going to press play. That should work for us. There you go. I have music. Simple enough. Let's talk about building your canvas for a win-lose screen. So over here in the hierarchy, create a UI canvas. That will come in with a canvas and an event system. The event system just looks for mouse clicks and anything that happens on the canvas and tells us where our mouse is at any given point. On the canvas, it should come with something called a canvas scaler. Change it from constant pixel size to scale with screen size. This makes sure that the text, anything that's on the canvas, will stretch with your screen despite how big or small it is. As a child of the canvas, so not here in the hierarchy, but as a child of the canvas, on my MacBook, I'm going to control right click to create a UI text Mesh Pro. Actually, I lied. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create a panel. Let's go ahead and do our win panel. Let's do our lose panel. I lied. Let's do the lose panel. Let's go to panel. So a panel is just basically a large block that will cover the screen, and you'll see that my screen here got sort of faded. I'm going to switch to 2D so I can see that panel better. And that panel, I'm going to make sure that it is over here in the rectangle transfer. If I hold Option, just make sure it stretches over the screen, which it does. You shouldn't really have to do that, but I just want to point out that's how you modify that. So right now, the panel is somewhat transparent. So if you click on color, on the very bottom, there's RGBA. A is alpha. This is your opacity. And whenever I lose, I want that to be, all the way turned up, because I don't want to be able to see anything. Now, as a child of this panel, which I'm going to turn into lose panel, I'm going to control right click and now I'm going to add my UI Text Mesh Pro text. And if you first come in, don't click the red X. Make sure you import those essentials. This is all the fonts and things you need. So if you start trying to put a text object in and it doesn't have any text, that means you forgot to import those essentials. You don't have to import the examples, just the top one. Okay, I'm going to change this to lose text. And right now my loose text is white. So some things I've gotten in the habit of doing is I come over here in the inspector and I align it. So I go to alignment, I put it in the middle, and I put it in the center so that it will sit perfectly in the middle of that box. And I'm just going to put a phrase in, you lose. The text is hard to see because of the color, so I might change the color to something like that. But this text is very boring, so I'm going to quickly show you how to find other text. Back in Classroom, I gave you the link to a website called DAFont, DaFont. And there are different types of fonts that you can choose from. I'm just going to go choose something sort of randomly. Since mine is sort of futuristic, I might be using a sort of techno. I might go with LCD style. And you'll find a bunch of different ones. So I like Alien Encounters. That looks fine. It will sometimes download as a zip file or sometimes as an OTF or TTF, doesn't matter. Drag it to your desktop. The ones that download as a zip file just means that they have a couple different types. So I'm going to double click that. It opens up, and inside of my Alien Encounters, you can see that I have a couple different ones, an italics version, a bold version, and so forth. I'm just going to try to choose like the regular one, maybe like this one right here. That looks fine for what I'm trying to achieve. And you're going to drag that TTF or OTF, depends on what you're using, but TTF is the preferred one, I think. Drag it in. Now, when you first drag it in, you can't use this font. So at the very top, you're going to go to Window, inside of Unity. Go to Window, TextMesh Pro, Font Asset Creator. The first one says Source Font File. Drag that file there and hit Generate Font Atlas, and then hit Save. I will like to just make sure that it goes in the right spot, and for me, I don't have a folder. If you had a folder, you definitely want to put it into a font folder, but that will be okay. So hit Save, and now you'll see this blue box that with a big F in the middle. That means it's a font asset. Because of the way TextMesh Pro works, it doesn't use normal fonts, it uses font assets. So back on your text object where it says font asset, you can drag this in, and now you have a different kind of font. Simple as that. All right, back on this lose panel, really quickly, I'm going to make a button. So UI, button TextMesh Pro. I'm going to change the font. So let's just call this Restart here. I'm going to move it down. Actually, what's better is to take the rectangle transform, hold the Option. I'm going to anchor it to the bottom and then move it back up just a little bit. So that way it's always anchored. As a child of the Restart button is its text object. So same thing. I like to play with alignment. It should be centered and centered. The color is okay. I'm going to make it say Restart, and I can change that font asset like that. Great. So now we need to quickly build out a scene manager script. Now we're going to use the scene manager script in other ways, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be very straightforward about it. So for now, let me turn off this lose panel so we can see. In your project area, I'm going to create a new C# script. You cannot call it scene manager because scene manager is a namespace or something that's already used inside of Unity. So I just like to call it scene script. So scene script, and I'm going to open that up. We've done this kind of stuff before, so this might be familiar to you, but we're going to expand on it for changing scenes in just a bit. But for now, let's just get this part to work. So at the top, I'm going to use the Unity engine dot scene management, and I'm going to make a method below called public. It needs to be public so that other scripts can see this method, so you can call it from other scripts. Public void restart. And the way I like to build a restart script is pretty simple. Anything that I want to have happen If you want to do immediate restart, you can. There's two ways to change it. You can do an invoke delay, you can do an invoke, or you can do an IE numerator. For now, let's just do a very quick invoke. So I'm actually going to change the name of this method to restart with delay. Let's do that. And move this down. I'm going to make another void. It's going to be called restart. So here's what I'm going to basically do. Is I'm going to do the restart in one method and then delay it with another. So here it's going to go scene manager dot load a scene, and we're going to tell the scene manager to get the active scene, the scene we're currently in. It's dot name. Take this scene and load it. And in the restart with delay, we're going to say invoke, and it needs a string name. It's going to be restart. But as a comma, we can tell it how long to take to do that, and we'll say after 1 second. So if we call restart with delay, it will restart the game, but after 1 second. It lets us build in a small delay, which is nice for games like this, so your player can register that they did die. All right, so what's my trigger going to be for whenever I die? Well, my player, I have a little player script that has nothing in it. If they fall down, I'm going to make them do that. So in the update, if my transform dot position dot y is less than, and then whatever number you want to go with. I'm not going to make a variable for the sake of time. I'm just going to say -10. If I go below -10, then I need to reference this scene script. So I'm going to make a public scene script variable. We're going to go to that scene script and do restart with delay, like this. And while it calls that, I can also trigger anything else I want to do, like play a sound, play a particle effect, and so on. Now this effect will happen automatically when I fall below -10. So let's test it out really quick to make sure this works. So on my player, it needs to know that scene script, which is not in my scene currently. So I'm going to build an empty. I will call this one scene manager. You can call it an object scene manager. That's fine. Just you can't call the script that. And I'm going to drag it on. And then take the object and put it here in the scene. So what we should see is a restart. Okay, it did. It worked. But I don't really want that to I really don't want that to happen whenever I die. I really want a few things to occur. Let me go find my script really quick. Okay. So instead, when my player falls below 10, I can play the sound, play the particle effect, and then instead of restarting here, I can now reference that lose panel. So public game object lose panel. And I'm going to take that lose panel dot set active, and I want it to be true. So go back into my game. On my player, oh, I forgot, I did not put a semicolon. I typed the wrong thing. I was going a little too fast for myself. There's a little error there. Okay. So instead, take your lose panel and drag it into this slot here. I'm going to turn it on briefly, the lose panel, so that I can assign on that restart button. So go to restart. On click, go get that scene manager object here, its function is going to come from that scene script, and then we're going to call that restart with delay button. All right, I'm going to turn the loose panel back off. So what should happen is our player will fall, and that loose panel should show up. And then we have the option to restart. There you go. And in the game, I should be able to restart. That's just a thing with the controller I'm using, where I could click it and restart the button, but I can't do it here in this little scene. I'll have to go over here and change that functionality to keep my mouse there on screen. So that's it. That's some of the basic things, restarting the level, fonts, music, and so forth. Later on, I will be able to help you change scenes once we get to adding level 2.